All right, all right, all right. Hello. Happy Thursday. And it is Rosie here with you guys. I'm just going to pull you guys up on my computer so I can see comments. Actually, I'm going to check one. Oh, whoops. I'm opening things by accident on my computer. Hello, Diane. I'm just going to check one quick thing. What's this called? I should know the name of this by now. Nostalgic something. Let's see, that might be enough. Nostalgic memories. Oh boy. Well, we'll still flip through that quick. I don't see it up here, but we might still have some. Okay. So I thought we'd do a little brief show and tell of some of the, just kind of give you a quick little wrap up of some of the projects that I shared with you or that we worked on. So in last week's live, we made some baby cards with the classic Pooh bear. No, Say Cheese classic. Let me grab it. Yes, classic Pooh baby card making kit from Simple Stories. So I just wanted to kind of briefly show you guys how the cards turned out before we do a little card demo. And so I thought I added a little bit of glossy accents onto the chipboard and then a bunch of foam adhesive on that one. This is one of the ones we made during the live, and I just went and added a few little, I can't remember if I added these gems during the live or not. And then we've got this one, which I just left as is. And this one I added a little ribbon and then some gems to the flower centers. So just to show you how you can kind of put your own little spin on these guys, even though it's a card kit. And we did this one during the live, and that's just some extra foam adhesive I added. And then again, a little touch of ribbon. And this guy, I added a little ribbon up here and then some clear gems. And then this one, we just glued everything down flat. So 8 cards out of that kit, and lots of ways you can kind of put your own spin on them if you kind of like to do things a little bit differently from the instructions. Okay, so that's Say Cheese Classic Pooh Baby. And now I showed you guys this kit, and this was the Nostalgic Memories 49 in Market tri-fold album. I'm not sure if we still have them in the shop or not. I kind of just looked briefly really quick there. I didn't see it, but that could mean that I just didn't find it, that my search was not the right search. But I thought we'd do a quick little flip through so you can kind of get a look at this, and it actually holds quite a bit of photos. I'm going to add photos to this still, but this is our front cover. And then our little closure here is magnetic, so that folds open. And then this is our center panel here. This actually folds over like this. And then it unfolds to the right, and we've got room here and here for photos and or journaling. And then this flips open. It's going to be kind of hard to get that in camera. Maybe I'll just turn it like this a little so you can see. So then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 more spaces as well for whatever you want to put here, photos and or journaling. And now back to this piece. This also flips open. And then again, we have another set of flaps that open up. So lots of space for photos here. And this is just the left side of the album. All right, and then we'll just fold that over, and then the right side of the album opens up as well. And then we've got a pair of flaps here in the center. And you could put there's no photo mats on here, but you could put photos on this side as well, and or journaling. And then our top portion folds out as well. Okay, and so this kit, you'll get a QR code that will take you to the instructions and to a video showing you how to put together all the flaps and the base pages. And then your directions have the layout of all the ephemera on the pages. And then it also has actually this goes this way, I think. And then it also has the video you can follow along. And now our right side of this album folds out like that. Okay, so then it's a fold out here. I'm going to keep that on the side just so you can see. So you can put some journaling or photos down here below. Now this folds out as well. And I'll do that so we can fit it all in. And then another fold out. There we go. So lots of space. Again, to add your photos and or journaling. Okay, so we'll fold that back out. I do find that you kind of need to make sure you fold everything back in a particular order just to make sure you'll kind of see if you get this one that it closes all right, because you shouldn't have to force it closed, but there you go. And then that's the back cover. So that is the Nostalgic Memories 49 in Market album kit. So that's priced at $76.99. And again, you might have to do it a little search a little better than I did to see if it's in the shop. Okay, so let's move on to our card demo. Kind of finally got to see the things I showed you a little bit of, but not necessarily the final product. So we are going to play with the Lisa Horton Crafts Scalloped Circles 3D embossing folder and then the coloring stencil. So it's just a simple one stencil, which you can actually use all on its own as well, even without the embossing folder, to get some beautiful results. And I'm going to I've got some new inks from Lisa Horton here as well, new metallic inks. So this is called the Alchemist mix. If you popped into if you're in the VIP group for Creative Scrapbooker magazine, I demoed these there as well yesterday. But we're going to use these on this card that we're going to make today. So these are just like the other metallic inks. I just want to show you a swatch here. If you happen to have I'll just grab them here quick. The first set of metallic inks, oops, that's not it. These guys, maybe I'll just lay them out here, which came in a silver shine, solid gold, silver shine, and copper pot. I'll just show you on the swatch where these new ones fit in. Okay, so the natural pearl is basically like a white. So it's a little tough to see on the white, but you can see it here on the black. Hello, Laura. And then the silver shine is from the original, the first release of the metallic inks, before Lisa came out with all the other additional colors. Then we've got platinum, which is in this new release. So it's like a warm tone silver. Then rose gold, which again is in the new release. Solid gold, which was in the original first release. So you can just see how these all fit together. And then copper pot. Hi, Cynthia. So that's how these all fit in together. So you can see that the new release colors, the platinum, rose gold, and natural pearl, are quite different from the solid gold, silver shine, and copper pot. So if you like these additional colors, you're not, you're not duplicating what's already in your stash. You're just expanding the range of the silver and gold that you have. Okay, so again, these metallic inks, really any technique that you can do with water, so anything you can do with distress inks or distress oxides, you can do with these guys. But we're kind of just I'm gonna kind of show you what the colors look like on paper, and just for a quick little demo. So before I went live, so I inked up the full panel here, but we're going to do some separately here. And I embossed first and then laid the stencil over, but I'll show you how that all worked. And what I've done is die cut a couple of shapes using, this is the Pink Fresh Studios Nested Arches dies. They actually go with the around the shape arches. You can use them with that, with the around the shape arches. It's the nested arches. Okay, so a really nice basic die set if you're looking for some type of arch shape. Just gonna grab my sticky mat because that's a little easier. And I am going to layer this on, but we're kind of going to make almost like a popped up inset, 3D card front, I'm going to call it. It might make more sense as I continue on. So I'm going to pop down my stencil, just line it up here, and you're going to want to make sure, if you like this and decide to pick it up, that you're gentle with your inking, because this is a fine lined stencil, I'm going to call it. Or if you want to use spray adhesive. Sorry, that's what I was trying to think of. Spray adhesive would work really well with this. But as we're going to be layering something over top, I'm not going to be too, I don't want it to be totally misaligned, but if, it's a little bit off in a little wee spot or two, I'm not too concerned. So I'm going to make this layer. Oh, I can see that's really off up top. Or I might have to line it up more like this, because this is kind of how I lined it up on the embossing folder. So what I did with this guy, I actually embossed this panel first, and then I inked it, and then I kind of just eyeballed it, lining up the die cut. So that once I get this inked, this is going to nestle right in and line up with the previous layer. So I'm going to grab my ink pad. Hope everyone's having a lovely day so far. I'm still not happy with how this is lining up. I mean, they're pretty much a repeating pattern, but sometimes it's like a wee bit off, and then it feels like, okay, I just have to adjust that a bit. Even though it's a repeating pattern and kind of likes to be in a particular spot. I think that's better. There we go. All right. So I'm going to hold this down as well, but I'm also going to ink. I'm not going to go like super hard. Kind of just keep in a light hand because I don't want these little pieces to shift too much. So definitely a double-sided adhesive works really well. But I did find even just doing a little bit of a pounce, this ink moves really nicely as well. And what you'll find with the metallic inks, that as they dry, the shine really comes through. You kind of see that more and more. Now I kind of like the stencil. I think it would be a fun stencil to use on a scrapbook layout, maybe just laying down a little bit of color, even over some pattern paper, or on white cardstock in the corners of your layout. I haven't played a lot with the embossing folders and stencils, but something like this type of one I think would be phenomenal for creating like a photo mats on a scrapbook layout as well, because this is a 5x7 embossing folder, so would work excellent for if you're scrapbooking 4x6 photos. Okay, so I'll just add a little more ink here, keep kind of working that in. And I'll just show you here on the base, I inked with the platinum up top here and then the rose gold. And then where they overlapped, I actually came in, maybe I'll do it on a solid piece of paper to show you. I used just a smaller brush with a little bit of the pearl in between here to just blend those areas together so that I didn't have a harsh line of where they met. But on these ones here, I want to have just a solid color. Maybe we'll come in on the edges with a little bit of the natural pearl. That might be pretty, actually. Hello to everyone who's popped in. If I've been too busy inking to say hello, I'm going to say hello now. Hope everyone's having a lovely Thursday. I've had a very busy week, so I've actually been looking forward to kind of being home here, doing this live and just hanging out at home. I have no plans to go anywhere. Although that being said, I did have to drive my teenager to school this morning when he missed the bus. Which I had to tell myself, deep breath, because he had lots of time to make it out there on time. But as sometimes teenagers do, he still managed to miss the bus. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit of the natural pearl around the edges there. And so just for you guys who've just joined in, I'm just going to show you the ink swatches again. The colors that I'm using are from the Lisa Horton Alchemist mix. So it's metallic and pearl ink. And that is natural pearl. It's hard to see on white, which is this color, then the platinum, and then the rose gold. And then these other colors are from the first set of metallic inks that she released, the very first set. She's also got we've got this set here too as well, which is the Winter 2025. I'm going to be using that probably next week, or in the next couple of weeks for sure. But with some other stuff, but you'll get to see those colors in action. Okay, oh, whoops, I don't want to do that yet. Hang on, I said I was going to add pearl. There's the pearl, and I'm just going to use a small blending brush. Whoops, sorry about that, guys. Just made everybody dizzy. And I'm just going to go around the edge here, just add a little bit of, kind of soften that out a little bit. Just because, so you can kind of see what this looks like. So it's really subtle. I'm sure as it dries, you'll get to see kind of a little bit more of a whitish shine at the edge. But we'll pull that off. Okay, and I inked a little hard there because you can see it went under the stencil a bit. So you definitely want to be gentle with this stencil. So I'm going to set that aside and just bring in my mister and clean this off before we work on the next layer. All right. So I plan to play around with this folder and stencil and kind of incorporate it into a scrapbook layout. And when I get that all figured out, that'll be one of the lives that I'll do for you guys. Because I think a lot of us are we do all the paper crafts, but there are some who are just do scrapbooking. So kind of want to be able to show you guys how you can use these products for more than just creating cards. And I'm just going to grab my heat it tool and give this a little dry because it's quite wet. This is a pigment ink, but it doesn't take as long to dry as say a Versamark pigment ink. It dries much quicker, but if you use a lot of ink like I did on this, I'm just going to give that hit that with a little heat. But you can see that, sheen? You can see that shine coming out. Hello, Helen. So really pretty. All right. So now I'm going to take my next, and again, this is a piece that I die cut with the Pink Fresh Nested Arches dies. So I'm going to take that next size that I haven't inked yet, and we are going to ink that with the rose gold. And again with the stencil. I probably should clean the stencil too, shouldn't I? And just slide that out of the way. I'll just give that, and you can clean this with water, or I like to use rubbing alcohol, just to, especially if you're going to kind of use it right away with a different color, just so I don't contaminate my ink colors. And I'm just using a piece of paper towel I've had hanging around here. Now I'm going to try this with one of my other stencils that are kind of stained, but I've been watching like DIY cleaning solution things on Instagram. So I actually cleaned this stencil with one of those cleaning solutions earlier because I had forgotten to wipe it off last night when I used it, and it worked pretty good. And I mean, it had, the only thing different it had that I wouldn't think of, and I don't know if it might ruin my stencils, so I mean, I might be selective on which ones I actually try to do it with, is that it has vinegar in it. Otherwise, it had water, alcohol, and a little bit of Dawn dish soap. But it seemed to work quite well. Okay, so I'm going to grab the rose gold. And just ink up my blending tool. And try to be not quite so rough. Now you can use blending brushes with this, but if you do decide to use blending brushes, I would recommend just keeping a set that you use just for these inks, the pigment inks. You don't want to use the same brushes with your dye inks. And I have a lot of blending brushes, but I don't have enough for all the different kinds of inks I have. So that's why I'm using blending foam, because I find the foam is really easy to wash. I'll just take it to the sink and wash it off, and then I don't have to be concerned about keeping the foam that I've used for this particular ink color with the ink color. I don't know, it may shorten the lifespan of the blending foam, I don't know. But so far it seems to work okay. Are you guys like a blending brush or blending foam? Or do you use both, or do you prefer one or the other? I like the smaller blending tools, the detail ones, just because I find those are fun to get, nice to get into small places. So maybe we'll use that a little bit on here, just for fun. I'm going to give this a wipe just over that stencil. Then I'm going to come back in over top. Actually, I think I need to add a little bit more. I don't mind that. I'm going to grab a smaller blending tool. Okay, this is just a micro blending brush from Altenew. And I'm going to grab my platinum. And I'm just going to lightly kind of come into the centers a little bit of this. Add a wee bit of shading. Just because. So you could play around with this. I just thought of this right now. It'd be kind of fun to play around with this. Seeing what kind of dimensional effects you can get. Or if you were using like a yellow and red, that would be kind of fun. Like start with a red base and then add a little bit of yellow and blend it upwards to to orange. So it's really subtle here. But you can layer these ink colors, even though these are really two completely different ink colors, they actually layer well together. All right. There we go. Anyone have any big crafty plans for the weekend at all? I hope to kind of get into I've got a few spots, or a few items I should say, in my craft room that I've been dying to play with. And I'm kind of embarrassed to say some of them I've had for a long time. So I'd like to kind of get them out and play around with them. Okay, I'm going to give that another little wipe and still come back in and add a little bit of that natural pearl around the outside edge. So even on this that's dry, it's hard to see, but there's just a little bit of a little light edge around there. So we'll kind of repeat that for this layer as well. And then we're going to put the card together. So it just adds a little, kind of softens the edge there just because. But this would be fun to use your nesting dies, your different shapes. You could create a bunch of different cards, or a bunch of cards I should say, using the various nesting shapes in your stash. I'm just going to peel that up. Well, that lined up really well. Really, really well. Okay. So we'll lift that off. I'll just put that behind me. I'll deal with that guy later. And I'm just going to hit that with a little bit of heat before we put it together. Okay. And this is just the Ranger Heat It tool. Highly, highly recommend. It's great for drying inks and paints and watercolor. The nice thing is you can get the nozzle, I guess. You can get it right up to the paper and it doesn't burn the paper. I have heard you can heat emboss with this. It just takes a little bit longer than an embossing tool that heats with I believe, definitely a higher heat and then a little bit more force, I guess you could say. Okay, so I'm going to bring in my various pieces here now. So this is the base that I made earlier. And I'm going to grab my foam adhesive and my scissors. And I'm going to kind of trim my adhesive to fit. And I'm using the Altenew Instant Dimension foam tape. I think I said if you were here last week, I did mention it's my favorite. Love it. In fact, I think the last time they had a sale on this stuff, my son was still going to school in the States. So I think I ordered 4 rolls and had them shipped to him for the free shipping and then picked it up from him. But alas, he doesn't go to school there anymore, so I'm trying not to, I don't want to be a hoarder. I do want to use it. But I've got a few rolls to get through, which is nice. So hopefully by the time I need to order more, who knows? Who knows what might happen? Maybe they'll figure out a way to make it less expensive. I highly doubt that, mind you. But yeah, this tape is great too. You can even tear it if you don't have scissors on hand. I like to use scissors. And last piece. Okay, so we are going to pull off the backing. And then I'm going to add a little bit of liquid glue to the back of this, of the foam adhesive. Just because I want to, let me make sure that doesn't kind of pokes out a little bit from the top. I'm just going to trim that off. There we go. Good. So I'm going to add some liquid adhesive because we are going to line up the pattern. So I'm going to need to slide this around a little. Oh, that was pretty good. Okay. Maybe a little bit up and down. All right. Okay, so that's my first layer. So you can see I've lined that up so the pattern continues. Okay. So now I'm going to do the same thing with this next layer. And I could have made, I mean, in this nested arches set, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's 5 layers. I just kind of alternated the size of layers so that you could see how the pattern lined up. Hello, Julie. So I'm going to do the same thing, liquid adhesive. All right, and then we're going to do the same thing here. So I'm going to see where this lines up best, right there. A little bit over, okay. And so again, when I did this, I die cut these arch pieces, and then I used the original as a guide to line it up in the embossing folder so that then I could line these up. There's probably a really easy way to do this but I was kind of doing this on the fly. I couldn't really think what was easier. You could kind of ink multiple pieces and emboss, ink it with the stencil, and then die cut, and then you could just run that back through your, actually it shouldn't flatten your, well, it might flatten your die cutting, but you could line it back up in the stencil if you needed to or wanted to. Okay, so that is the card front, and now I'm going to grab, where did I put my little birdies? So a couple Facebook Lives ago, we did, oh, there it is. I demoed the Songbirds 3D embossing folder. There it is. Let me grab it. And stencils. These are the layering stencils. So we had, and then the embossing folder in the 3D emboss and cut, I believe it was. And so when you emboss and cut, it does this all at once. It'll emboss and cut, but these were a couple of the guys that we use. So I'm going to use, let's see. Do I want just a note? No, I want this guy. I'm going to put him just a little off to the side there. So because I've got a couple of layers of foam tape, I'm going to want to kind of stack it up a little bit on that edge. So I'm just going to look at, because I'm going to place this kind of right here in this corner. So I want kind of under the tail there, piece a little, it's going to be small, but we'll make it work so that this edge piece isn't. Okay, that'll work. So it just lines up on the edge of this guy. So we're gonna pop this up too, just because we can. Add a lot of dimension. So this is definitely going to be a card that you're going to want to hand deliver. Yeah, I like that, because then we've got that kind of stands out over top there. Pops up from the background. So you can see that how that pattern continues, which I think is beautiful. Lining that up. Okay, so I want to make sure I have enough foam tape here, so this is going to stay in place and not get crunched. I think that'll be okay. And look, I keep layering that just over the edge there. Trim that off. Again, a little bit of, I have a little bit of ink on my fingers because it's sticking to, when I peel off that liner from the adhesive, there's ink on the, so I'm going to try to be careful here that I'm not getting ink on the white parts of this. All right, and then we can go in and we could add a few little gems here. I think that might be kind of fun. I feel like it needs something shiny. Shiny, shiny, shiny. Let's see. What color do I have? I mean, that's kind of a silly question. What color don't I have is a better one. I have lots of colors. What might work? Almost feeling just a clear would be pretty. Oh, thanks, Cynthia. It's fun. Yeah, I think just a little bit of a, there we go, a little bit of a shine. Maybe put that right there. I think we need more. I think these ones I have, I'm not sure where these are from, but they're all the same size. Okay, I'm liking that. Except I don't want it there. It looks too lined up if I put them all on the centers, but you could. This would be, you know, something if you wanted to just use the embossing folder, you could come through and just put gems kind of at each point. I might have to do that now that I'm talking about it. I think that would be kind of fun. That would create a really beautiful card front. Oh, I can't get my pokey tool out, or my gem picker, because my cable is right in front of my drawer, and if I open it all the way to get my jewel picker out, it's going to knock my camera off the desk. I didn't think that went through, did I? Okay. So now it would be fun to do this as well, and with this Songbirds embossing folder, but maybe making this a little more monochromatic would be kind of fun to see what that looks like, or do it all in kind of alternating rose gold and white. But there is the finished card. Using these scalloped circles, 3D embossing folder, and stencil. And then I've got just a few other samples to show you. We've got this one, which is just the embossing folder and stencil, and then I've just glued one of the Songbirds 3D emboss and cut and colored pieces there. These two, now I think it would be great to make a set of note cards. All I've done is emboss with the embossing folder on pearlescent card. This is tonic pearlescent card. And then these particular Songbird embossing cuts, I basically just used my brushes that I used when I kind of did these guys. And then pretty much just whatever ink was left on the brush is what you see here on these. So you got to get a really beautiful pastel sort of a vibe with that. And then just to, we'll kind of use this. I'm not going to glue anything down, but I just want to show you what I was talking about that I think would be kind of fun to do. Actually, you know what, guys? I'm going to do that. I'm going to show you that right now. Hang on. While I'm thinking about it, just got a little piece of extra card. I'm just going to run this through. I just want to show you real quick what I was thinking about adding the embellishments. So I'm just going to step behind here and quickly run this through my embossing machine. Okay, oh, I got tape all over the place and everything. Okay. Oh, hang on. Doesn't want to go through. 1 second. Okay. All right. So excuse the crooked edge here. We'll just cover that up. This is for idea purposes. So I think what would be really fun as well, fun way to use this embossing folder, and easy. These are just some Chloe's Creative, what are these called? Chloe's Creative Bling Box Crystal Clear. But you could go in with these, and at every point, you could just add a little embelly, or if you've got Nuvo drops, those would work really well. But you could add this all on your card front, and then just a simple sentiment, a sentiment strip or something like that, and you've got a very gorgeous card front. I'd probably use like a flat sequin, I think would be nice, but that's where you can use these points here. And of course, you know, you don't have to use them that way. You can turn them around and use it with your scallops going towards the bottom, which I kind of really like how that looks. Thanks, Cynthia. Thank you very much. All right, guys. Well, I hope you've got some inspiration and some ideas. And of course, these products are all available in the shop. So feel free to do some perusing. I'm going to turn this around that way. I really like this with the scallops going towards the bottom. I'm going to have to make a couple more samples with it that way, because I'm finding that very striking. So that's all I have for you today, guys. Thanks for popping in and hanging out, and I will be back next week, same time, 1 p.m., same place. And yeah, I've got a few things here that I can choose from, so I'm going to kind of surprise you with what we're going to work on next week. So thanks for popping in, and thanks for taking your time to spend some time here with me today. Have a wonderful rest of your Thursday and a fabulous weekend, everyone. Take care. Bye.